And now we move to the last one is Upekshanam. Upekshanam is the most beautiful and the most challenging. Okay? So Upekshanam, it is so big, the scope of it. It is a quality of it is something like an unshakable quality of the mind. Nothing can shake it. It is like such a stable state, Upekshanam. That quality, if it is fully permeated your consciousness becomes so capacious. I don't know whether there's such a word, or spacious. So like I just heard when I came to see the Lake Kenyir, one of the managers here told me. So I asked, how big is it? So he told me that if you sink Singapore into it, we will still have the lake. Yeah. So that's what he said. So he said it doesn't end where our vision ends. Behind the mountain, it still opens up to a very big space. Yeah. So. Yeah. So it's really big.
But it's man-made and it's that big.
Yeah. So it can absorb the entire Singapore and still remain as a lake. Okay. So that is kind of Upekshanam. Okay. You have that kind of capacity of consciousness. It's so spacious. If you're a small puddle, a small leaf fall on it also, it will ripple and it'll exhaust itself. All the water sprays everywhere and you're finished. But Upekshanam is that kind of spaciousness and that kind of capacity. You can accept anything. It is Upekshanam can also be said to be a capacity to be totally open to life, totally open to experiences that come our way, without falling prey for the tendency to like and dislike. Okay? We don't do that. So often experiences happen and we are lost in the reactivity of the mind. We react mostly to a judgment of I like this or I don't like this, or I want this or I don't want it, or good and bad. Upekshanam is no judgment. It is whatever comes, it is able to see as it is, without putting some kind of expectation to it and then judging it on based on your own expectation. Okay, so it is a complete openness, and it is not just viewing as it is viewing with understanding. Upekshanam is a radiant calmness of the mind. It's a state of radiant clarity. You can really see things as it is, and you accept as it is with wisdom. Okay, so that is a great capacity to have. And Upekshanam at the last also means to any quality. Okay, so Maitri, to last you need Upekshanam. Karuna, to last you need Upekshanam. So Sutra, you have to really understand it. When something is put at the end, what it means is you need that at the end of each one of it. Otherwise it won't last. So we can be friendly. Okay, we can be friendly. But there is some kind of, for example, we can have a friend, as long as a friend goes in the way we know that friend to be, okay, then that person is a friend. We have developed a certain liking to the friend, and then you find that the friend is doing things which you cannot agree at all. The friend is going on certain self-destructive ways, or maybe the friend is going on, I don't know, maybe not doing good things for others, or something which you can't agree. The Maitri will end there, if Upekshanam is not there. So that is where Upekshanam can infuse a lasting quality to Maitri, where instead of kind of expecting a person to be in such a way, Upekshanam just accepts. Upekshanam is very fluid. In this moment, this is the way it is. And you don't have to close your heart. Doesn't mean that you have to condone or anything. But it's a clearly knowing this is the way it is. Okay? Doesn't mean helping that person to do the same thing. But still what it means is that Maitri should not suddenly turn into hatred or anything. That Upekshanam is there, it will last. You're still open. You can clearly say that you don't agree, whatever you're doing is wrong, but you haven't closed your heart. Same thing with Karuna or compassion. Sometimes you can have all the Maitri and the Karuna for a person, all the friendship and compassion for a person, but a part of us expect by showing this compassion and friendship, maybe that person will change. Okay? And when you find that sometimes we can have all the goodwill and all the compassion, but yet the person is not going to change at all. And when we realize that, sometimes I give up. Okay? Upekshanam can step right there. We don't have to close our heart. Okay? We are still open in our heart. It doesn't again mean... I'm just reminded of a story once I heard. It comes at, I think it's the Buddha. So Buddha had a very dear disciple, I forgot the names. He was a very wealthy merchant. Okay, he had a lot of money, but he was a very good disciple of Buddha. And this merchant had a nephew who was like, who was into all the wrong ways. Who was into gambling and chases women and drinks and spends all the money. And always he'll come back to, when he exhausts himself, he'll come back to his uncle. And the uncle always supports him. He'll give him more money. And the uncle tried many times to set up some small shop for him to, to support himself. But all the time, this nephew, he just wastes it. He again goes back, uses the money for gambling, and it goes on like that. And one fine day, the nephew comes back, and the man said, "No more. You have to find your footing. I'm not going to support you anymore." Okay. And it just happens that this man went, but he couldn't find his footing. He again just he simply went to borrow money from debtors, and he was into drinking, in no position to return the money, and I think finally he got killed by the debtors. And the body was just thrown to some garbage area. And when the merchant heard of this, he really felt guilty. Whether he could have done something, whether he had all the money, he could have kept on supporting him. And then he went back to Buddha and he told him this, and he asked Buddha whether he did wrong by negating that request for more money. And the Buddha said, no. He said, you acted out of compassion for a long time, and now it's time to practice Upekshanam. Like you have to, you cannot condone, you're open, but at a certain point of time you stop, and then whatever happens you accept. There is no point in grieving, and that is his way, his path. He went that way and he got what he deserved, and it's time for Upekshanam, accepting as it is. So that was a powerful story. So sometimes compassion and things like that, we go overboard. So Upekshanam is not like weakness. Compassion is not weakness. So acceptance, and you finally see this is the way it is, then you can be strong. It doesn't mean you're closing your heart or anything, but you stop once you see the wisdom that this won't help. There is no end to it. So these are all reflections of Upekshanam. And every day I check whether how is that quality in me, and still not pass marks, because we all have many tendencies, and sometimes I judge. There is a judgment tendency. Judgment tendency is different from discernment. Discernment is the quality we are trying to cultivate, and that comes through Upekshanam, where there is an acceptance of things as it is. Judgment, we are colored. Judgment is when I say, this is good, this is bad. That is judgment. Discernment is, this is different. That's all. Okay? And I make a choice, this is more helpful for me. But we don't really label and judge this person. Terrible. No more friendship. I will never go to that person. I will never smile at that person. That kind of thing is judgment. And Upekshanam is that person has turned this way. But I don't have to close my heart. I don't have to support anything. I don't have to label. That is the way it is. And I can choose to be focusing on a different thing. But inside that aversion or judgment, it doesn't happen. If Upekshanam really comes up.